Hi, everybody. This is Casey from Upcycled Island. And today we're going to make a little zipper pouch. It's a little circle and has a zipper and it opens up and it's lined. These are super simple to make, but there's a couple of things that can go wrong if you're not aware of it. We're going to cut out our circles, and we can use scrap fabric for this. Now, I used 4 circles for each, and I have a lid that came on some potato salad that I brought home from the barbecue place, and this is what I use as my pattern. And I do several layers of fabric so I can cut 4 more circles at a time. And I just put this on top of the fabric and draw around it, pin the fabric together, and then cut out my circles. So simple, simple. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold your circles in half. And that's the first trick that we need to learn so we don't have a Murphy's Law occurrence. You know, Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. Well, we want to break Murphy's Law, and I'm going to show you the first way that you could do that. Okay, here are your circles. Now, the first time I made these, I just took my circles and folded them in half and just pressed the daylights out of them. And I did that to all of them. Then I took it to my machine to put the zipper in it. And of all the slipping and sliding and carrying on, and the ugly words that came out of my mouth because the zipper wouldn't go in without the fabric sliding all over the place. And so I finally had to stop myself and say, okay, what is going on? And what is going on is that fold needs to be on the straight grain of the fabric. Now, you've used scraps. How do you find the straight grain? You're just simply going to tug on the fabric on each side, and when it doesn't have any give, right here, I picked it up right, that's the straight grain, and that's where you're going to fold. So I'm going to take these up, and you can see I'm tugging on that, and it's stretching. It's stretching a little less here, stretching there. Okay, there's no stretch. So that's my straight grain, and that's where I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to press it. So do that with your circles. Find the straight grain, and then fold it in half. So the straight grain will be where that fold is. Now here's what happened. I had pressed the living daylights out of them, so there was a really good crease. And when I went back and tried to iron those creases out so I could refold it, well, I could still see the crease. So if you want to keep your original creases, then, and they're on the bias, then you just need to stabilize that area. And what I did to stabilize that area so we didn't have to unfold, press, refold, press, is I use some hem tape. This is, you're probably all familiar with this because you've repaired a hem when you didn't have a needle and thread. And it is an iron-on both sides. And so I just snipped a little piece of that, the length of my fold. And then I placed that. I had a really good crease there because I had ironed it. And I placed that next to the fold, folded it back over, pressed it again so that seam tape would, it's iron-on seam tape, so it would adhere. And then this was stabilized and I was able to put the zipper in. So that's a hint. Sometimes the pattern of the fabric is such that you do want that fold on the bias because you want a flower or a stripe or something to go in a particular direction. And if you folded it on the straight grain, you wouldn't get the appearance that you want. So in that case, just use your hem tape as stabilizer. You could also use another piece of fabric, some Pellon interfacing, just enough to stabilize that area. Okay, I have got my 4 circles ready to go. 2 of the circles are folded in half, and I folded them so that my straight grain goes this way on the fold. And then the other 2 are open. The 2 that are open, unfolded, I'm putting wrong sides together. And set that aside because you're going to use that later. With these that are folded, this is where we're going to put the zipper. The zipper is going to go in between that. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, I have my zipper foot on my machine, and it's an adjustable zipper foot, so I have made sure that my needle clears. I have a 7-inch zipper. It's a number 3 size zipper, and so my piece is in the middle of the zipper. I have the fabric placed in the middle of the zipper. The zipper tab's up here, the end of the zipper is here, and my fabric, my fold, is right along the edge of the zipper part. I want to stitch as close to that edge as I can, so I've set up my adjustable zipper foot so that I can do that. I have stitched and back stitched. I'm using a contrasting thread so you can see what I'm doing. So we have the zipper on in the middle of the zipper. See, here's the end over here, and here's the end here. And that's what you want. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I've changed the position of the camera so you can maybe see a little bit better. I've lined up the ends here so they'll match. So we're going to stitch, back stitch, and sew. Okay, this is what she looks like. Now, I've used a contrasting thread so you can see what we're doing. I usually do another set of stitching. Okay, I'm ready to do that second line of stitching now. I've got my other foot back on my machine, and I'm just going to let it glide along the zipper part. And that way it will be a uniform stitch line. And then I'm going to just turn it over and do it on the other side. And I'll clip my threads when I'm done. what she looks like. I've got 2 lines of stitching. The reason I do that is my first line of stitching next to the zipper leaves a lot of tape on this side, and I don't want it to eventually fold over and get in the way. So that's why I do the separate stitching. Probably don't need to do that, but since I adhere to Murphy's Law and try to avoid it at all costs, I do 2 lines of stitching. So we now have our circle with our zipper. We have the circle with the zipper tab in the middle. We have the end of the zipper here, and we have the top of the zipper here. And this is what we have to do now. We have to make sure that that zipper tab is inside your project. And then voila, it's open. What are we gonna do? Okay, we're gonna take our other circle, and we have these wrong sides together. The reason we do that is you're gonna have a fully lined project by doing so. You folded your circle in half, so those are wrong sides together. So here's your top and here's your lining. And you're doing the same thing here. You've got your circle with wrong sides together. Here's your bottom, here's your lining. So we're going to put our circles one on top of the other. And then we're going to pin or clip them together. Leave this open a bit because you're going to need to turn it right side out. Now, see, I almost made a boo-boo. And you're going to place that zipper tab side down onto your other circle. All right, now we're going to pin these together or clip. I'm going to use clips. Now we're going to sew all the way around. When we get to this part, we're going to hold it when we're at the machine and hold it and kind of pinch it together when we sew over that. So the zipper won't open up where we don't want it to. So let's go to the machine and do that. All right, we're ready to sew. We have it clipped together, and I'm going to start just before I get to the zipper tab where it comes apart. So I'm going to take this pin apart, and I'm just going to use the edge of my foot as my guide. I'm going to let the edge of my foot slide along the edge of the fabric. Now this is round, so you're going to have to turn your fabric as you go. Be sure and stitch and back stitch. And you're going to guide your fabric as you go because you're sewing in a circle. When you get to the zipper tab, now it's going to be kind of tricky to keep my hand out of your way, but you're going to kind of pinch these together while you're sewing over that zipper tape. And go back over it. Okay, and continue using the edge of your foot along the edge of your circle. And just go slow. If you need to, you can raise the presser foot and reposition your fabric. Whatever you need to do to sew around that circle. Just go slow. We're not in a race. Now we're getting to the other zipper tape, but it's the closed end, so it's not going to be as big a deal. So just continue to manipulate your fabric. See, I'm pushing, I'm not really pushing, I'm just guiding the fabric. Your feed dogs will do the pushing and pulling. I'm just guiding it with my fingers. And go slow. We're almost to the end. Keep these threads out of the way. And you're going to stitch and back stitch, and you are done with that part of it. And clip your threads. All right, now we're going to trim off the ends of the zipper tab, the ends of the zippers. I'm clipping around my circle, being careful not to clip through the seam. I'm doing that so when I turn this, it'll lay flat. I'm just simply clipping around the edge all the way around. And we're going to clip through the zipper tape also. All right, we have clipped all the way around. And that's just so when we turn it, it's going to lay flat. Now we're going to turn it by pulling it through where the zipper is. And then we're just going to use our finger and go around the circle. And just play with it until you get it nice and round. Here we go. There's your zipper. See, there's your little circle. Now we're going to open it up a little bit again. We're going to press it, take it to the iron and press it, and then we're going to sew. We're going to edge stitch, top stitch around the whole edge. Let's go press it. All right, we've got her pressed and we're ready to top stitch around the edge. Now, you may have a special foot that helps you top stitch evenly. I just use the middle of the toe, this toe of the foot, as my guide, and I guide my fabric along that imaginary line on my foot. And so I'm just going to take a couple of stitches and back stitch, and then I'm going to go along that entire edge, and I am just guiding it with my hand. And remember, if you need to stop and raise the foot and reposition, you can do that. Whatever helps you. Now when we get here to the zipper tape, to the zipper part where it's open, you're going to have to keep that pinched closed. And I use my tweezers as my third hand. And I'm going to go over that a second time. the more you do this, the better you'll get at guiding your fabric. You won't have to stop and reposition. You just get better at it. Practice makes perfect. Well, I don't know about perfect, but practice makes better. Okay, we're coming to this other zipper tape, and we're going to go over it twice. And then finish up that top stitching. When we meet the other top stitching, we're going to take a couple of back stitches, and it's locked off. All right, if you want to have a little tab on your pouch, like this one, so it'll hang, you do that before you put it together. You've got the zipper in, and you take it with the right side up, so the tab side up. And you take your little tab. My tab is 4 inches long. You can make that out of the fabric that you're making your pouch out of. Or this was a shoelace that I folded in half and then zigzagged. And it's the right color. So you're going to place that on either side of the zipper tape and pin it. And I pinned it so the edge of the tab will meet the edge of the fabric, and each tab side of the tab is on each side of the zipper tape. I'm just going to take that to the machine, and at the very edge, I'm going to tack that down. I've tacked that down with the machine, and now we're going to put our, just like we did before, we're going to put it together. We have our circle, wrong sides together. We'll put that down. We're going to put this zipper tape down, the tabs on the end there. And we're going to pin this together. Oh, I'm going to clip mine. Okay, you have that all clipped together. You're going to take it to the machine and sew it together just like we did before. I'm going to start here before I get to the zipper tape. And then when I get to the zipper tape, I'm going to pinch it together when I sew over it 2 times. And then sew all the way around. It's going to be a little bit thicker here because you have that tab, but the sewing's going to be the same as we did before. Okay, well, I hope that you found that helpful. Also, I will tell you, depending on the zipper foot and how close you get, how small the space, so you have a real small space. On some of these, no, they're all pretty small. But on some of these, when I got them to the machine, my circle, the circles, the back of the thing and the front of it with the zipper, when I was putting those together, sometimes they weren't the same size. So you just pin it together, and then you use whichever side is the smallest as your guide to sew around the circle. I mean, things happen. There's a lot of videos out there on how to do things like this, and I did one too. But I like to point out where I had a problem to maybe help you avoid that problem. Anyway, I want to help your journey to be easier than perhaps mine has been. And be sure and subscribe and hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified when I post a new video. And check out my Etsy shop, upcycledisland.etsy.com. I'm on YouTube and Instagram and Etsy and Facebook. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe.